we're seeing signs of polarization more and more in our country. And one of those is dealing with faith and also having a view of pride in America. We saw this really happening in Europe, and now it's maneuvering right to America. The way of life, the way that we have freedoms, the way that we can raise our children in a way that has a more of a libertarian style freedom, even a conservative or even a liberal viewpoint, we're losing a lot of that because what we're allowing happen here in America, where we say we want to give so much freedom, but actually what we're doing is when we're giving so much freedom, we're allowing people to actually speak bad words against America. And not just, hey, this is my opinion, it's the fact that there's threats. And that's not what we should be allowing happen here in America. Now let's jump into what I'm talking about today, because it's a little bit of a concern, because what we're seeing is now people that are coming to our country are coming actually in the fact of hatred towards the country that's given them so much. Let's jump into it. Today's video starts right now. Hey guys, welcome to The Max. Thank you so very much for being here today. If you are new to the channel, go down here, press subscribe, ring the bell. Give us a thumbs up or a thumbs down. That's okay, but let us know what you think about this video. I love reading comments, even the ones that are mean towards me or derogatory, but also the ones that are encouraging, and then also the ones who people are actually struggling with something. And I love seeing that our community goes in there and answers a lot of the questions that some people have, some concerns people have. That is what community is about. So thank you for being those people. Now, let's talk about today. The freedoms that we have, we're slowly losing. And I know the war we tend to see is right versus left. The war we tend to see is morals versus non-morals. We see those, but there's another value system that we're losing too. The fact is, it's not a moral value or a goods value, because ultimately the war that we're fighting now is against people who have a different faith or a different moral value, but it's against American way. And it's against American sovereignty and freedom. Now, what am I talking about? Let's dive a little deeper. Yesterday, we made mention of an event that happened in Michigan where they were literally chanting, "Death to America." Now, this is concerning to me because even though I may not agree with President Biden, I didn't agree with President Obama, I didn't agree with some of the policies, of course, of our Congress on both sides. The thing is, we live in a sovereign country and we have a vote that hopefully will matter. Our goal is that our election is fair, and it should be, and our integrity should be there, and that's what allows us to have the freedoms that we have. Now, I disagree wholeheartedly with the fact that we send full-time, non-term limited senators and congressmen to set policy for us and give us more laws and regulations to follow. I don't think that's helping us at all. That's a detriment. I don't agree with the fact of immoral living that some people are pushing in our culture that's become norms now. But today's video is not about that. It's about the fact that we have lost the fact of what it means to be an American. The fact of having a pride in America. Well, I think a lot of times when we have Middle Eastern issues like the Israel-Hamas situation, or the fact of overall just us being in wars, it makes a polarized nation here back at home. We saw this in Vietnam, and from then it kind of made its way all the way to today's present. Well, this scares me a little bit more about the Islamic faith, because this is not a moral or immoral value. This is not good versus evil value. This is one religion that we believe in, especially me as a Christian. We believe in a moral compass, and yes, the world has moved away from that. However, on the other hand, on the Muslim faith, they look at it as, well, this is their moral compass as well. This is not the fact that they're saying that they want to live a liberal or immoral life. This is the fact that they believe that America is actually evil. Now, the problem I have with this is because, yes, if you live in these foreign countries or in the Middle East, or you live in Muslim nations and you don't like America, that's your rights. Just like here in America, we have certain rights as well. The problem though is because we have allowed so many people in our nation, and yes, we are a nation of people coming in legally, I'm fine with that. But I think one part of becoming a citizen of America is that we should believe in America's core values and its sovereignty and its freedoms and its pride. We should take pride in America. It's amazing, all these people dog out America and they still live here because they don't want to go back to their countries. They don't want to go back to another country because they know America is still the best country to live in. However, they say things like death to America. Now, I believe in freedom. I believe in making sure the government does not have a hands-on approach to its people. However, when we see open threats from this faith and from these people saying that they want to have death to America and they believe the problem with Israel is actually America and they support Iran, that's what some of these people were saying. They were praising Iran. They were praising the movement of America's loss and the fact that Israel is losing. That's not having freedom of expression, I don't think. And that's where I have a very hard nose towards libertarians, because I don't think you should have a right to threaten the sovereign country that you live in. Now, yes, I disagree with politics. I disagree with tons of politics. But I believe that America is still the greatest nation, and I have a pride in America, and I want to see America thrive. When we have people that don't believe that, what are we doing? Why are we allowing them in our country? Why are we not doing something about what happened in Michigan? We literally are arresting 71-year-old grandmothers who never once said a deterrable thing versus America. They just happened to be in the wrong place at the right time. So therefore now they're considered a bad person and going to be thrown in jail as a 71-year-old grandmother. However, we have a group of individuals who are literally chanting death to America, that are living in America, that is thriving off American freedom, that is thriving off American capitalism, and we're just allowing them to speak ill of the country that's given them so much. The problem I have with this is not the fact that they shouldn't have the freedom. The problem I have is, where does freedom come to a threat? That's dangerous. When we threaten someone's way of life, that's danger. I couldn't imagine me going to a foreign country and stating death to whatever country that is, and the government just saying, no, it's this freedom of expression. I doubt they would do that. I imagine I wouldn't be deported, but I would imagine I would be thrown in somewhere that I probably wouldn't be found again. Maybe a deep hole. Because that is not the way of life. That is not what most countries would allow. Why as Americans do we allow that? Because what we're doing is we're allowing them to influence other people. You don't believe me? Let's talk about Europe. Europe has had a massive assimilation problem. And what I mean by that is, yes, people can come in and eat legal for sure. Legal for sure. And again, illegals are not assimilating either, but legal people are not even assimilating to the culture. Now what I mean, let's go through some shocking revelations with numbers from Europe. It says a recent survey revealed that nearly half of British Muslims sympathize with Hamas, meaning 50% of Britain that is considered migrants support what's happening against Israel. Now, you can have an opinion. I have no problem with that. But the problem is, Great Britain has changed. Its whole way of life has changed. Its whole population density has changed. Its demographics has changed because they've allowed so many people in to then have the rights to speak against the country that they're part of. It's amazing. Look at France. Look at Britain. Look at the fact of the Palestinian riots and the protests that are happening. They're growing by the day, and no one's saying anything about it. However, if you were a Christian group trying to do the same thing, you would be persecuted against. Think of Ole Miss in Arkansas. There was literally a college game where an officer came and they literally cut off a Trump flag from being even shown. They could not even have a Trump flag, but then we can allow people in Michigan to say death to America? Why do we equivocate that? Is that not being a freedom of speech for these college kids who was holding a flag, who was doing nothing wrong, to where there's people literally chanting death to its own sovereign nation that it's a part of? That's a double standard that I'm very concerned about. And what we've seen over in Great Britain, we're seeing 50% of people support the Palestinian people, not Israel. We see that 25% of people believe that it was maybe wrong to attack Israel. So that whole demographics have changed, and it's all because they've allowed mass migration to happen, then not call evil evil, and so then they're allowing that message to spread, and now all of a sudden major changes has happened in Europe. And that same change is coming here. We have elected officials, representatives that has literally pushed against America. I think of the Squad and how they have supported more beliefs of the Middle Eastern countries and the ones that they've come from versus supporting its people here in America. Are they really representing America views? Are they representing foreign country views? That's something that we should be concerned about. I want you to understand though, I'm not trying to push against people's right to say how they believe. But I'm pushing against the right that there's a fine line. And I think what we do is we tend to, on Christianity, on conservatives, on people who speak against the opposition of liberalism and off the opposition of the status quo, we're the ones that get reprimanded. We're the ones that get ghosted or censored. However, what we're saying is most of it is going back to traditional roots of where America come from. We have another group of individuals who speak very freely, and they use the fact of, well, we're just speaking our freedoms. We just have the freedom of expression. And actually what they're doing is censoring the conservative side, but allowing their message to go out. And what's so amazing is the liberal side has embraced this Muslim push, and the Muslim push would be against everything that the liberals stand for. So what I think you're going to see is more of the fact that they're going to allow people like Death to America a chance to keep on happening. And then ultimately they're going to realize we're going to start losing a lot of our freedoms because people are going to believe in that. And then once they get to the back and the root of the Islamic faith, they're going to realize that the views of the liberal person, their viewers, their view is going to be very much not part of what they believe. It's going to be very much against even the Islam faith. We're looking at a boiling point because we're seeing people who, of course, love our country. We're seeing people who love our country, but they don't support what we believe in. And then we see people who don't even like our country at all, but they take the advantage of living here. It's amazing. All these people that chant Death to America, they would mostly say they want to stay here. They want to go back to their air-conditioned homes. They want to go back to the fact of a way of life that they've developed here in America. However, they're chanting against the own country that they live in. Wouldn't you think that they'd want to leave this country if it was quote-unquote so bad? I say the same thing about people who say, well, if Trump wins, we're going to move to Canada. None of them moved before, and they're not going to move now because they realize America is still the best country to live in. What I don't want it to happen is that we take pride in America, but then we also take America for granted. And when we take America for granted, we don't realize the blessings and the freedoms that we do have here. So then we ghost and censor the conservatives, but then we allow all these other people to speak. And while these other people are speaking, they're actually causing more of a detriment to the freedoms of America. It's wrong to allow someone to chant Death to America in support of Iran. That's not freedom of speech. That is literally a threat against its own country. And that's dangerous. And I think this is where we have to have a fine line, not government intervention, but that we have to have a fine line of what a threat is versus having complete and utter openness to say what you want to say. I talk every day online. I want to have the freedoms to speak and tell what I believe. However, I have a pride in America that I believe that if we don't come to a grounded understanding of what America stood for, then we won't understand the value of it and we'll take it for granted. For instance, these people live in Michigan. They're part of America. They take all the benefits of America. But then at the same time, they want to literally bite the hand that feeds them when it comes to saying death to America. I think this is a dangerous precedent that we're setting, and I think also by setting this precedent, we're causing more of a fatal demise to America. And I'm scared to see what's actually going to happen next. The more we allow this to me, a virus spread, this non-prideful way of looking at America. Liberals, Democrats, and the fact of people groups that are coming in here that's not assimilating to America views to know what America really stood for, what American freedom was based on, Judeo-Christian values. I think we're actually causing more detriment and harm than good. This is a very deep dive, and I think this is one of those things that people don't want to talk about. But the truth is, we shouldn't allow people to openly threat Americans. It's wrong. Especially when we have a double standard of arresting 70 and 80-year-old people who were literally standing with a flag at the Capitol. Or college kids who are wanting to express their views, and they're losing the opportunity just to wave a flag, get cut off by the police. What world are we living in? We allow freedoms on one side, but then we censor others. That's not a good policy. Let me know your thoughts. God bless. Happy homesteading, y'all.